The guards were asking you about this Black Soul Stone. I remember reading about it in Uncle's journal, but it didn't seem important.
No, but it is. It is the key to defeating evil forever. It was created by the mage Zoltun Kulle to trap demonic souls.
Yes, he was a renegade Horadrim, dismembered by his brethren before he could activate the Soul Stone. His head was sealed away in the Dahlgur Oasis.
We must retrieve it, because if we're to use the Soul Stone to defeat Belial and Azmodan, Zoltun Kulle must live again.
We rescued Leah's mother, Adria. She told us about the Black Soul Stone, an artifact that could banish evil forever. I must find it.
Murderer, torturer, monster. These were the titles bestowed upon Zoltun Kulle by the Horadrim. Though it cost them dearly, they killed the wizard for his crimes against nature and sealed his broken corpse within a shadow realm. It seems they were afraid he might return.
YouTube, and welcome back to my Let's Play Diablo 3. So we started off with a bit of dialogue there at the beginning of the video, so I figured I might as well wait and do my introduction at this point. So we are now on a quest to find the head of Zoltun Kulle, and the first thing we need to do is get to the Dahlgur Oasis, and apparently the best way to do that is through the sewers. Although it's now called the Flooded Causeway for some reason, but it's also still the sewers. And we'll have some more dialogue here in a second.
Listen to me. I cannot talk for long. Belial's guards are constantly watching me.
Emperor Haakon.
Forgive me for my behavior at court. The gods would have killed me had I sided with you. But I will help you now as I can. You must be headed to the Oasis. I can open this gate for you.
How did all this happen?
There's little I can do. Between my advisors and the Imperial Guard, my every move and action are controlled. I have tried to fight back, but Belial's influence is strong. But now you've given me a chance. Perhaps my only chance.
How can you aid me?
You're here to kill Belial, aren't you? I can help.
Perhaps in a few years.
I can still fight in my own way. I want my empire back. I will find where Belial is hiding and deliver him to you.
I'm not sure I trust you after you set your guards on us.
I told you it was not my choice. My every move is controlled and I am surrounded by enemies. But I swear to you, I will help you. I will prove it to you.
Alright, so the little emperor there supposedly unlocked the gate so that we can get into this part of the sewers, which should lead us to the Dahlgur Oasis. In the meantime, I included all that dialogue and kind of talked to the emperor a little bit, just because some of that is kind of no, I think it's interesting to the storyline, so I thought I would include it. But for right now, we've got to run around this part of the sewers and look for. Oh, and we have well, one more lore.
Diablo was the youngest of the prime evils, but I found him the most dangerous, for his power over terror left him incapable of feeling fear. Though he had easily possessed and corrupted many humans, Diablo's essence was finally trapped in a soul stone and banished to the unfathomable abyss 20 years ago.
Okay, so we just got from Deckard Cain the little bit of history of Diablo himself. So we've heard about Asmodan and Belial and now Diablo. And there's a couple of other, I think there's like 5 of them altogether in terms of the Lords of Hell and all that stuff. With Diablo, as we just learned, being the youngest of them. And being the Lord of Terror and all that stuff. So, but of course, you know, he is the central demon that this entire franchise is based on. So it's important to know about him. So we're encountering an elite guy here, Zakath the Conjurer, and one of the first times we're encountering these kind of laser beam things. So it's one of the these things. You know, there's a number of different types of things that these elites will drop. One being these kind of laser beams, and at higher difficulty levels, you know, one little scratch from them and boom, your character dies. They can be pretty bad. Obviously, like I've mentioned before, I'm playing at the normal difficulty, which is the easiest difficulty level. And so it didn't really hurt me that much, but you still want to be careful, especially if you have 3 or 4 or 5 of them going on at the same time. If they all hit you at the same time, I bet you even at normal level, it will do some significant damage. Okay, so we found our way into the Oasis, and now we've just got to run around and look for the Forgotten Ruins. Because what we're looking for right now is Zoltun Kulle's head. And the Dahlgur Oasis is pretty big, so we have to run around a bit and look for stuff. And just for those of you who may have some interest in the Whimsyshire, there's an area where you can go off and everything is like puffy clouds and teddy bears and that kind of thing. The area I was just in, there's that one, and there's another one very similar to that with a chained up door, and depending on like just random chance, sometimes that door can be opened. There might be a person there, an NPC who can open the door for you if you help them. And you know, if you do that, you can pick up one of the required items that will help you get into Whimsyshire. So, just as a heads up, if you were wondering about that, if you've even heard of it, I think I posted something about Whimsyshire at one point a while back. I haven't been back in there for a while, and I haven't been in with this character. I don't even know if I can get in there with this character. I think I've got most of the, in my account thing, I have most of the things I need, but I still need to create the staff. Oh yes, that's right, there's a staff, there's a something that I need that only drops from this one lieutenant that you encounter very near the end of the game, well, very near the end of the original game before you encounter Diablo. And I remember running the damn thing, I don't know, 100 times and never getting the drop from it. Like, I've got all the other bits and pieces, but that's the one piece I don't have. And I just kind of gave up on it. I did have a chance to go into Whimsyshire with my husband when I was in a group with him, because he ended up getting it. So, and he can't share the thing that I need. So, I may or may not, you know, if I get a drop, you know, first time around, you know, I may take a side trip and go into Whimsyshire after getting that drop. Because I have everything else in my account, but I just don't have that one. So, anywho, in the meantime, I'm just kind of running around the Oasis and trying to figure out where this, where these Forgotten Ruins are, because this kind of stuff always, like, it's random. It could be anywhere in the ruins, so here I'm just kind of checking out these areas as well, just to make sure it's not hiding back here somewhere. These are kind of a vast oasis, although you know, I get the feeling that this oasis is somehow underground because it's always dark. Even though it's daylight when we come down into the sewers in the first place. So I almost think that this oasis is, all, you know, underground somehow. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, especially considering it supposedly has a lot of lush green plant life and everything. So it really wouldn't make sense for it to have, to not get daylight, but for whatever reason, every time you go here, it's always dark. So you either always come here at night or it's underground. Anywho. Alright, so we get another elite, and we got some nice drops from them. So that's pretty good. Alright, so I have to leave this area. All sorts of little hidden things here and there to run around and explore in the game, so. Oh yes, you got these whirling dervish mobs and stuff in the Dahlgur Oasis. I don't think we run into them too much outside of the Oasis, but definitely run into them out here, and they just kind of spin, and they can do quite a bit of damage if you're not careful, so another thing to watch out for. Alrighty, more of these serpent guards and everything everywhere. And I believe that they are basically considered, you know, servants of Belial, so Belial is the Lord of Lies, and lies and deceit tend to be tied to snakes, which goes back to the whole, if you're, you know, whether you believe in the Bible or not, or you're biblical or not, it goes back to the whole, you know, the serpent lying and deceiving Eve into eating the apple from the tree of wisdom. So snakes are often associated with lies and deception because of that, and therefore, you know, it makes sense for there to be serpent guards as part of the Lord of Lies entourage, as it were. And then we'll see what, you know, and then there's, I think Asmodan just basically has just straight up demons, as his servants. These guys, I mean, they could almost be like, you know, mermaids on land or something, except for the fact that they're half snake instead of half fish, but they kind of look mermaidish, or mermenish, I guess, since I don't see a lot of females. Oh yeah, so here's another area. So you see that locked door there with the chains on it. So an area similar to this may have a side quest randomly. You have to come back and replay the area numerous times in order to trigger it, possibly. But there's a side quest with for a person and to help him out. And then when you do, he unlocks the door into a cave system, and in one of the treasure chests down there is where you'll find one of the items that you need for getting into Whimsyshire. If you want more information, just Google Whimsyshire Diablo 3, and it'll give you, you know, there's websites out there that give you a guide in terms of what you need, where to find it, who drops it, etc.
3 centuries ago, a much smaller Chaldeum depended upon small wells for its water. Then came the mysterious Dahlgur, offering Chaldeum an oasis of unparalleled splendor, located in an area previously thought to be desert, asking only that his name be permanently affixed to the land. Then he vanished into the wastes.
So we just got a little history about the Dahlgur Oasis, which I guess supposedly was just magically created in an area that was supposed to be desert, so it doesn't, to me, say that it's underground, but at the same time, I wonder why the game creators chose to make this area dark, I guess. But anyway, so we've got a little side quest here that we've got to do. to free captive guards. I'm guessing that these were originally some of the guards guarding Emperor Hakan, and they've been taken captive and replaced with serpent guards. And as we've seen before, the serpent guards can transform themselves to look human, at least for a time. But alright, we've rescued the captive guards. And we will just make our merry way along until we find those forgotten ruins. We're dealing with yet another big bad elite meanie. Alright. We got some nice drops there, some nice gold. I get some more. Always more mobs, always more enemies to fight along the way. And they just get more and stronger as you increase your difficulty level in the game. So if you think this is a cakewalk, try the higher levels. I would, but it would take me way longer and with a lot more editing involved in order to do that for these videos. So it's easier for me to do this just at the easiest level possible. Alrighty. These are like I've said before, these are kind of vast jungle we have to go through. Oops, and we just leveled to level 22, yay! You hit level 60 right around the time that you encounter Diablo, and level 70 at the end of the Chapter 5 expansion to the game. So everyone should know the Diablo sequence by now, unless you're, well, I guess if you haven't played the game before, if you're new to the game, you wouldn't have, but anyone who's watching me who's played the game, and if you've completed at least up through Act 4, you should be familiar with the Diablo sequence by now, but obviously we'll see how well I do once I get there myself. We've got, a total of 5 acts altogether. Now with the game, originally the game had 4 acts, and then the expansion added Act 5. I don't know if they have any plans to add additional acts beyond that, but I think that would actually be, not a bad thing, to keep adding instead of, developing like Diablo 4 or something like that. I think it would make much more sense to just keep adding chapters to this game. Ew, and she just picked up a legendary item. That is good. Legendary. Orange is legendary, and legendaries are the highest level, best gear that you can get in the game. Obviously, the level 20-somethings legendaries aren't as good as the level 70-somethings in legendaries, but, legendary is legendary, and I'll take what I can get. So, yep, not as good on the damage, but still, it's legendary. I'm taking it. I'm equipping it. And then I realized I picked up some better boots as well, so we'll put those on. I've got 3 legendary items right now. I've got the bracers, I've got a ring, and my weapon are all legendary, so yay! Oh, and we finally found the Forgotten Ruins, although we've got to fight past some of these mobs first before we can get down there. Alrighty. Alright, so we're now into the Forgotten Ruins, and the last piece.
We are in agreement. Kulle, the renegade, must be stopped. He seeks to duplicate the power of the stones and wield it for his own ends. He is obsessed with the powers of heaven and hell. Drawing their attention will only bring doom to us all.
As I was going to say, the last piece of the puzzle is to get Zoltun Kulle's head. So that little journal entry there is an indication that, yes, Zoltun Kulle, at least, because one of the things that Adria said earlier was that Zoltun Kulle was dismembered like quite literally, and different pieces of his corpse were buried in different locations. One being his head here in the Forgotten Ruins. So that's the first piece that we need, is his head, because that's where all his knowledge supposedly is stored. Supposedly surviving. And then we bring that back to Adria and Leah, and then we'll kind of go from there and see what happens next. First we gotta find that darn head, so we just gotta keep our eyes open and just kind of run around until we figure it out, because again, the game randomizes all this stuff, and so you never know where it's gonna show up. Sometimes you have to explore, most of the time you have to explore like the entire dungeon, and then the last place you get to is usually where it appears. Sometimes the game is nice and lets it appear much earlier on, so that you don't have to explore the entire dungeon if you don't want to. So it's sort of a randomized thing, but almost always it seems to be like in one of the last places that you're looking. But in the meantime, we've got plenty of things that we've got to run around and kill before we get there. So let's just kind of keep going, and see what we can find. These underground, under the desert ruins and everything that we keep seeing. It's like I find them very interesting and intriguing, and I'm like, gee, I'd love to just wander around and explore this place. I think it's one of the things that the game designers did really well, was to design a game that you just really want to explore and everything. You know, if I could be an archaeologist and just kind of run around and understand the different, you know, archaeological findings that we're seeing, it would be, I don't know, it would be kind of cool. I mean, yes, I know it's all fake and doesn't exist and that kind of thing, but I don't know. Archaeology's always been a subject that's interested me in archaeology and anthropology and that kind of thing. I would love to study that kind of thing a little bit, but it takes time and often requires camping out of doors. That's the main reason I avoided studying that kind of thing, is just because I'm like, well, I hate camping, so. And it's kind of boring just staying behind at a museum, you know, cataloging the great discoveries that the folks who go out in the field find. So, you know, what's the point in that? I mean, obviously someone's gonna do it, but if you can't, you know, if you don't like being outside and camping and stuff, and being in the field in order to, you know, help make these discoveries, then, you know, I don't know. Just decided that I'd probably not be well suited for it, as interesting as doing something in archaeology or anthropology would be. So, bottom line. But at least they make games like this, so I can kind of feel a little bit like an Indiana Jones. You know, Indiana could be a girl's name, right? Alrighty, so we're still running around these ruins. Speaking of, although we're getting close now. At this point, we're getting close to finding his head. Just a lot of ground to cover to try to find it. Oh, and if you look at the mini map, you will now see the blinking circle. And that's an indication that we found the head, or we're close to it anyway. So first we gotta take out all these bad guys and things before we even attempt to retrieve the head, and you'll see why in a moment. Again, normal difficulty, piece of cake, it really shouldn't matter, but just in case you have to play this or want to play this on a higher difficulty level, it's always important to note before you touch Zoltun Kulle's head, make sure you clear out all the other mobs, all the other enemy attackers, because as you can see, as soon as you grab the head, you get this big guy attacking you. And at normal level, you know, you can deal with him. You know, he's tough, but you can deal with him. But if you had touched his head, and you hadn't taken out any of the NPC enemies, the mobs in the area first, then you'd have to fight all of them plus the big monster.
Search for Kulle's hidden archives. None of us have any idea what to expect. How far has Kulle's madness driven him? How much power has he accumulated in his mad quest? I can only hope we are not too late.
Go back to the camp and everything, and then we'll basically wrap up this part of the chapter. Okay, so there's Adria, and we're handing over the head, and she immediately says, you know, it's now time to cast the spell that I taught you, because her mom's been working with her on her powers and trying to show her how to focus her powers. And so we revive Zoltun Kulle, and Zoltun Kulle immediately recognizes Tyrael, and Tyrael says, yeah, but, you know, I'm mortal now, and things, so they're kind of having a little back and forth and stuff. But bottom line is, now that he's alive, he can show us where the Black Soul Stone is, and supposedly the point of the Black Soul Stone is to trap demons into it, and we're hoping to be able to trap Belial and eventually Azmodan as well. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me this week. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next week, take care. Bye-bye.